Good evening and welcome to this special Friday night edition of Newsmax Prime. I'm J.D. Hayworth. No need to adjust your set. Of course, you usually see my friend Steve Malsberg at this time each weeknight, but Steve has tonight off. However, our telephones are very much on and we would love to hear from you. We'll be taking your calls tonight at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Call us with your comments. We will put you on the air live. But first, Donald Trump, in his own words, speaking to the National Rifle Association this afternoon in Louisville.
I've been a member for a long time, and my boys are members, and they're much better shooters than I am. I'll tell you, they know more about guns than any. I don't know, there might be 2 or 3 people in this room, but believe it or not, not many. So to get the endorsement, believe me, is a fantastic honor. And I just said to Wayne and I just said to Chris, I will not let you down. Remember that. I will not let you down. And, you know, I wrote a few remarks and I'm going to actually read them because we go into a little detail, but I will tell you that Hillary Clinton, and you know I call her Crooked Hillary because all you have to do is read any newspaper you want. But Hillary Clinton wants to abolish the Second Amendment. Just remember that. We're not talking about change it. She wants to abolish the Second Amendment. So we're not going to let that happen. I can tell you that right now. We're going to preserve it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to take care of it. Okay? You know, they keep chipping away. They talk about the magazines. They talk about the bullets. We're going to take care of it. You know, a couple of things before I give you some more detailed remarks. I feel really happy with what's going on. You know, the Fox poll came out 3 days ago, and in the Fox poll, I'm leading Hillary 41-44. 44. And last night, Rasmussen, which is a highly respected poll, came out. Trump 42, Crooked Hillary Clinton 37. So we're doing well. Now, with all that, we have a long way to go. But if you get every one of your friends to go vote, because there's a big difference, you know, on a lot of the things there's a difference, and some are subtle, some are big. And by the way, we're in Kentucky, we're going to put the miners back to work, before I forget about that. We're going to put the miners, we just left, and I also won Kentucky, so I love Kentucky. I used to work in Cincinnati. For 2 summers, I worked in Cincinnati doing a job with my father, and I loved Cincinnati, and I'd come over the line and I'd be in Kentucky. You'd be surprised how much I know about Kentucky. But it's an amazing place. But I said when I won New York, because we won New York in a landslide, and then Pennsylvania and Maryland, and we won everything. We were winning everything. We won Connecticut, Delaware, Rhode Island. And then we went to West Virginia, and boy, did I win. Did we do well in West Virginia. Wow. But all landslides. We won in all of the states I mentioned and more. Every single county in every single state. That's called a victory. And we won by massive percentages in the 60s and some in the 70s. And then, of course, we went to Indiana. As you know, that was going to be the firewall for the other side. And it turned out to be a massive victory for us again. It didn't hurt that Bobby Knight came out and said, I want Trump to win. That didn't hurt. If you're in Indiana and Bobby Knight endorses you, I guess that's about as good as it gets. So I just want to say that I've been watching what's going on, and I've been looking at airplanes getting blown up in the air and lots of bad things happening. It's just not the same. And we're going to bring it back, and we're going to bring it back to a real place where we don't have to be so frightened, where we don't have to be so afraid. And you know what's happening in the schools, and you know what's happening everywhere. We're going to bring it back, and you folks are going to be so happy, and you're going to be so proud of your country again. Just remember. Bernie Sanders, who I'm sure you all love, he did say one thing that was very interesting. He said that Hillary Clinton is unqualified to be the President of the United States. And he said that, and it's just, you know, one of those things. He said she suffers from bad judgment, and she does. You look at so many of her decisions have been bad. So I think we're going to do really, really well, and I look forward to it. I actually look very forward to the debates. I've loved the debates. I don't know. I never debated before, and all of a sudden I have all these debates, and that was a big question mark in my mind. I mean, how will I do in debates? I'm debating people that were on their national debating teams and all of these top debaters, but they never had people interrupting them every other word they'd say. You're a liar, and they're trying to speak and they can't speak. You would have done the same. I know a lot of the audience. You would have done the same. So I just want to give this, and I want to really, it's so important to me. I wrote it down, and again, my sons have been members of the NRA for many, many years, and they're incredible. They have so many rifles and so many guns, sometimes even I get a little bit concerned. I said, that's a lot. Okay, but I will tell you, they know so much about it, and really they're surrogates. They go around and speak, and every time they speak to a gun organization or a club, or people call me and they say, you boys are great boys, and boy, do they know their business. So it's one of those things, and that's the way we want it. And, you know, I mention so often, we talk about Paris, or we talk about San Bernardino, and nobody had guns. You know, Paris is probably in the world the toughest place to have a gun. The toughest. France generally, but Paris in particular. And when these thugs walked in, thugs, you know, the press used to call them masterminds, right? The mastermind. We're looking, I said, that's why people are joining. That's why they're coming in, because they're using the word mastermind. Not mastermind, thugs. In fact, I called him the guy with the dirty cap. Remember the white cap? And it was filthy dirty. This was the mastermind. And actually, the press has stopped using the term. They're very dishonest people, among the most dishonest I've ever met, but they actually stopped using the term mastermind because they use that term, and then they wonder why our youth is going and fighting for ISIS. They don't even know what they're fighting for. But I think it's gotten a lot better from that standpoint. But if you look at Paris, 130 people killed, hundreds of people still in the hospital, just horribly wounded, can never be the same, horribly wounded. And these guys came in, boom, boom, you over here, boom, and they just stood there and just shot everybody. No guns on the other side, folks. If you would have had guns on the other side, if I took a couple of these folks in here, some especially wearing the red caps, Make America Great Again, I promise there wouldn't have been 130 people killed and hundreds of people lying in the hospital to this day. It might not have happened, because if they knew there were guns in the room, it might not have happened. But if it did, you would have had bullets going in the opposite direction, and believe me, the carnage would not have been the same by any stretch of the imagination. And I tell the same story on San Bernardino. Here's two people. I guess she radicalized him. Who knows? Who knows? It's a mess. We're in a mess, folks, a mess. Radical Islamic terrorism. We have a president, doesn't mention the words, doesn't want to talk about it, and if you don't want to talk about it, you're never going to solve a very big problem, and we're talking a worldwide problem. We're not talking here, we're not talking Kentucky, we're talking all over the world. This is a problem, and we have a president doesn't want to mention the name. You have San Bernardino, 14 people. They worked with these two. They worked with them. They gave them a baby shower. They had a baby. The people they worked with gave them a baby shower. They walked in, no guns on the other side. They had the guns, and they killed 14 people, many wounded, many in the hospital to this day, but they wounded many. But they killed 14 of their co-workers, and the co-workers thought they were friends. So there's something going on. Now, I tell you again, same story. If we had guns on the other side, it wouldn't have been that way. I would have, boom. If we had guns on the other side, it wouldn't have been that way. And then you have the gun-free zones. The gun-free zones, that's real. We had a case, you know, about a year and a half ago was the first I really heard of this, and where you had the 5 military people, great people. One was a master marksman, a master with anything he touched having to do with guns, weapons, anything he touched. And they were told, this is on a military base, folks, on a military base. They were told, put your guns away, got to put your guns. These are, you know, soldiers. These are people that are representing us. These are the top of the line. These were 5 great brave, incredible soldiers. Put your guns away. So their guns are locked up, put in a different area of the place, and this whack job walks in and starts shooting them, killed all 5 of them. Gun-free zones. We're getting rid of gun-free zones, okay? I can tell you. We're getting rid of that.
Well, we will have more of Donald Trump's address to the NRA, but right now it's your chance to talk on Newsmax TV at 1-877-NEWSMAX. Let's go to the phones. Ladies first, from Melrose Park, Illinois. Here is Mary on Newsmax Prime. Hiya, Mary.
Hi, JD. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. What did you think of Donald's speech today in Louisville?
I loved it. I loved it. He was just right on with everything he said.
Were you surprised the NRA released their official endorsement this early in the campaign?
Actually, no. No, I'm not, because I think people are now starting to finally, how you say, get on the Trump train. And, he says what he means, Donald Trump.
He does. And Mary, we know you say what you mean as well, and we appreciate the call. About a minute and a half remains in this segment. Out to Otis, Oregon for Robert on Newsmax Prime. Hiya, Robert.
Hi there. How you doing?
Doing great, thanks. What'd you think of Trump in Louisville?
I think it's beautiful. We need somebody in America to fight Hillary. We need somebody to fight Obama. We're going to win.
All right, Robert, we appreciate your remarks. And now we'll stay in the great Northwest to Leavenworth, Washington for Rick. Good evening, Rick, or good afternoon where you are.
How you doing?
Doing fine, Rick. What did you think of Trump today?
I think it's great. It's good to see somebody that's supporting our Second Amendment rights instead of stomping on them.
And it doesn't, but because a lot of his adversaries during the primaries were saying, wait a minute, this guy used to say positive things about gun control. Does it bother you? It seems that Mr. Trump has evolved on the issue of the Second Amendment. About 30 seconds, Rick.
No, I think it's it shows that he's open to change and to listen. Not to be so stubborn that he's going to hold his way of doing things and not listen to other things or be willing to change.
So the fact that he was able to change and become an impassioned advocate of the Second Amendment, that led to the great enthusiastic reception this afternoon in Louisville, and it's led to a hat trick of phone calls. You heard all three of our callers here, Mary, Robert, and Rick, very much on the Trump train. When we come back, more of what Donald Trump had to say in Louisville and more of your phone calls as this special edition of Newsmax Prime continues on this Friday evening on Newsmax TV.